Everyone, Dr. Laura Mock, the life coach for busy dentists, here again today. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be telling you my story, how I came to be where I am. I'm not going to brag, but I think it's a pretty interesting story. I've been through a lot of weird and it's just been a circuitous journey. Let's put it that way. And I'm grateful for every moment of it. Don't think I'm complaining. Anyway, I wanted to make sure I got everything. And so I wrote it out, which I know you guys aren't used to me reading on screen, and I will try to keep it entertaining. But I'm just going to pull it up now and start. And thank you everyone in advance. Keep listening. It's a really good story. Okay. So most of all, what I really want to emphasize right now is that I'm telling you this because I want to show you what's possible. I'm not trying to brag. I just want you to see where I came from and know that you can do even more than I can. So I was raised as the second child of 7 here in Iowa by a very traditional Mormon family. And what that meant for me was that I was raised in a large network of my immediate family, my extended family, and my church family. At the center of all this was the matriarch of our family, which was my mother's mother. She was a regal 5'1", well-spoken, intelligent, and full of her faith. My family growing up was really short on monetary stability due to employment problems with my dad, but it was very long on love. In this environment, I was encouraged to be my best self, and from my particular subculture's perspective, this meant preparing me to be a good wife and mother, not necessarily developing or preparing for a professional career. Educations for women were for backup plans and to assist with raising children, and it was encouraged as long as it didn't detract from those more important roles. In fact, I was told many times that choosing to work outside the home as a mother was just wrong. I was taught these principles from the time that I was 3 years old. I was also taught hard work, gratitude, service, love, family, and forgiveness. It was wonderful, and I would not trade my upbringing for anything, even the poverty. With an illness that went undiagnosed for many decades, my father was unable to hold gainful employment for most of our growing up years. At one point, for several years, we were so broke that my family's only income was my mom's job at the mall, and she would feed our family of 9 by selling her plasma and would take the $20 bill that she got from what she termed blood sucking. She would go straight to the discount grocery store to see what she could scrounge up for the week with her $20. In this environment, I was actually a pretty good student. I got accepted into a good college, though I didn't have any career aspirations. To be honest, I thought it would be a good place to meet my future husband. After a few years of not getting married, I chose to go on a Mormon mission, and I served for 18 months in Hawaii. And upon returning from Hawaii, I wasn't quite ready to be back in the college scene. So I found a job in a dental office. I immersed myself in dentistry and was trained in the office on how to be an assistant. I loved dentistry. And since I was unmarried, and at this time in my eyes 22 and a half, was practically an old maid, my dream of being a dentist took its first seed. I cautiously approached the man I worked for to see what he thought of me being a dentist. He was pretty traditional in his views and volunteered that dental school was pretty hard. Around this time, I finally started dating someone. Woo! He and I were quickly married, and then even more quickly pregnant with our first child. I threw my dreams of becoming a dentist out the window now that I was fully able to fulfill the role that I had been taught to perform. After my oldest was born, I stayed home with her while my husband simultaneously provided for us and worked on his own college education. Shortly thereafter, we welcomed our second child, and then we needed more money. I looked for work and found a job in another dental office. As I was sitting one day with the dentist, holding my suction, I had an epiphany. I knew deep in my bones that I could do what he was doing. and I recalled finally my desire to be a dentist. I knew that women weren't really supposed to fulfill that role in the family, but I also knew that sometimes things didn't work out the way we thought, and I desperately didn't want to have to take a job at the mall and sell my blood to keep my family afloat if the conditions required it. This period in my life was quite invigorating. We were still as poor as can be. Even going to Taco Bell was a treat. But I enrolled full-time at the community college and took classes in the evenings and Saturday mornings so that my schooling would not detract from my mothering role. I loved going to class. Every time I learned a new thing about how the human body works, I had even more energy. And I even found that I was good at things that I had previously assumed were beyond my skill due to the fact that this time I was taking such massive action. My GPA climbed to over 4.0. I am still proud of the A+ that I received in physics from a teacher who had recently been taken off probation from failing too many students. I went and visited the College of Dentistry, which was just a 40-minute drive from my house. I showed the admissions director there my plan of how I could get all of my required classes in, and although I knew my plan was accelerated, I told her that I thought I could do it. She looked over my plans with kind of a pitiful, sorry look. My plan of teaching myself organic chemistry over the summer so that I could take the DAT in time for fall applications was not going to work, she said. I should give it another year and apply next time. I politely thanked her for her time and told her that I appreciated her advice, but that I would be trying anyway. I then went to my chemistry teacher's office after school and asked if I could borrow his organic chemistry textbook for the summer. Luckily, he was a chemistry nerd, so anytime that summer I had questions, he would happily guide me to the answers. And by the end of the summer, my head was so full of math and chemistry, I felt like my knowledge was just going to seep out of my ears. It was time. My year-long real organic chemistry class had just started, but I had to take the test now or wait another year. And I did not want to wait. I already thought I was so old. I was 26. I drove down and took the test. I needed to get at least a 17 in each subject to be average for Iowa and therefore likely to be accepted. I knew my grades were good enough. After the test, I sat back in my chair, my brain so tired. I stared at the screen and my score popped up, surprising me. I got a 19. I even got a 23 in chemistry. I walked out of that test in a euphoric daze. Laura, was gonna be a dentist, and there was nothing stopping me now. Late in the fall, when the first wave of acceptance letters got sent out, my letter was among them. I was so incredibly proud of myself, of all that I had overcome. I knew that I was the first Mormon woman from Iowa to ever go to the University of Iowa Dental School, and I had competed with all those traditional students who didn't have small babies. I cannot describe to you the joy and excitement I felt until I got another letter in the mail. It was from my grandma, my mother's mother. I thought it would say good job. I mean, in the back of my head, I knew that I was kicking a cultural trend, but I thought times had changed and that the adults in my life would support me and know that I was making the best decision for me. This was the first time I had the opportunity of learning that not everyone is going to approve of what you do. The letter said basically that if I went to dental school, I would be disobeying God and preventing my husband from being the leader of our family. It said, we all know you're smart. You don't need to prove it by doing this, and you will be blessed for not going. Now, I know that this letter was written with love, and I knew it back then too. I couldn't deny it, but it took me many years to reconcile that love with understanding that I can do what's right for myself and trust my own instinct, and that doesn't change someone's love for me. At the time, I didn't understand any of that, and I was simply hurt and felt unsupported. In the late of summer 2003, I gathered with my classmates for dental school orientation. It was such an exciting time. You know, there were seasons of dental school that were just so invigorating and challenged my mind to its utmost. And then there were also really lonely times. Being the lone Mormon female, I didn't really fit in anywhere. I didn't belong at the bar crawls, and I didn't get included in the Mormon clique activities or test file study sessions. And I was married with babies. Also, second semester of freshman year, I returned to school in the frigid cold with news. I was pregnant again. Getting through gross anatomy lab with cadavers while being in my first trimester of pregnancy is up there on my list of accomplishments I'm most proud of. My youngest baby was born the second week of our sophomore year. I wore my baby to class a lot that year. And I also spent a lot of lonely hours pumping by myself in the mother's lounge instead of eating lunch with all of my peers. We still lived 40 minutes away from school, and my class schedule was full all day, every day. So most of my school's days looked like this. I showered, got ready, nursed the baby, drove to school, learned, practiced, then drove home, and immediately upon entering my house, I nursed the baby again. Only then could I turn my attention to my other older girls and also to my studies. By the time senior year rolled around, I was thick into so many thoughts and tasks. Senior year was extra challenging for me because the hours were so long. At home, my marriage was becoming more and more contentious. We had never really seen eye to eye on many subjects, but this year we fought a lot. Many conversations ended in tears or yelling. Also, we were preparing for his deployment. He was scheduled to be shipping out to Iraq around the time I graduated, and sure enough, in true military style, he was pulled away from our family just a week prior to my graduation. My children were there when I graduated, though, and I knew they were so proud of me. By that time, they were 7, 5, and 2. All of a sudden, a single mother for the year, I geared up to start my first job as Dr. Laura. My first job worked out to be my last as well. 6 months after joining the practice, while my husband was still gone, I purchased it and became the new practice owner. I have now owned that practice for almost 12 years. Since then, I have been through so much self-growth. After the deployment came a divorce, and then after the divorce came a bad relationship that injured me in more than one way. It was also a very expensive relationship to escape from. This is what happens when naive women get divorced. After that came a time of personal development, and I focused on being a better dentist, a better mother, and a better caretaker of my own physical health. In 2013, I met my future husband, and we began our partnership together. I also worked on improving my systems in my practice that year so that we could be open fewer days and raise the bar on the quality of care. So my husband Mike and I got married in 2016, and 2018 was the year that I discovered life coaching. I had been having a rough year. Lots of negative self-thoughts and lots of drinking. In being coached and coaching myself, I was able to get out of this mental slump. And I also lost weight and improved my finances from the principles I learned in life coaching. Then I signed up for certification to become a life coach for other dentists. And that will be complete in less than a month. In fact, I just took my final today. Maybe I aced it like the DAT so many years ago. I no longer belong to the Mormon church, and so sometimes you'll see me doing things that Mormons aren't supposed to do, like swear or drink alcohol. But deep down, I am what I call a secular Mormon. I still pride myself in my work ethic, my motherhood, in kindness and love and service, and those things are deep in my bones, and I refuse to give them up. So this is how I got where I am. If you've enjoyed this story, or if you'd like to hear more about my story, please contact me. Share it with whoever you want to. I'm an open book, and I'm here to celebrate all the things that I've already accomplished in my life. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.